Hi everyone, welcome back to SS class. Today's class we are going to discuss chapter number 4 in history, that is in the earliest cities. So chapter number 3 we will discuss after this chapter. After some chapter we will discuss the chapter number 3 because only less topics we need to study in chapter number 3 because already you studied some topics in the second chapter. So today we have the fourth chapter, that is in the earliest city. So mainly we can have the four major earliest cities. Which are the four major earliest cities? All of you look at the whiteboard. Harappa, the first one Harappa, second one Mohenjo-daro, third one Kalibangan, and the fourth one Lothal. These are the four major earliest cities. Which are they? Harappa, first one Harappa, second one Mohenjo-daro, third one Kalibangan, and fourth one Lothal. These are the four major earliest cities. The archaeologists found or discovered many earliest cities. How they discovered, in India, when the engineers are going to construct the railway line work. That time they were see the Harappan city. They were see the Harappa. So when they see the first time, they saw that they thought that it was a mount. But when they reached there, they found that there were thousands of baked and ready-made bricks. They are very surprised to see that these ready-made and baked bricks. So they collected thousands of these bricks for constructing the railway line. Accordingly, after that, the archaeologists go there and they found that and they recognized that it was the remains of one of the earliest cities, that is Harappa. So accordingly, gradually and slowly, the archaeologists found there and they began to excavate and they found that this is not mound and that was the remains of the earliest city. So these earliest cities are, it is about 4,700 years ago. These four major cities is about 4,700 years ago. So archaeologists found it in 150 years when they are going to start a railway line work. That time they found. So gradually the archaeologists studied about the cities and they got a lot of past objects from they dig the hole. Accordingly, they recognized that there were four major earliest cities, which are the Harappa. The first one Harappa, and we can see this Harappa is now situated in the Pakistan. Okay, now the present Pakistan, the Harappa is situated in the present Pakistan. It is the west part of the India and the West Punjab. Harappa is situated in the West Punjab in the Pakistan country. Next, Mohenjo-daro. It is also situated in the West Punjab of Pakistan. And next one, third one, Kalibangan. Kalibangan is situated in India. It is in Rajasthan. Don't forget the name. It will be important for the math skill based question. Kalibangan in Rajasthan and Lothal in Gujarat. So these were the four major earliest cities. Why we are studying about these earliest cities? Is there any specialities for these cities? Yes, it has a lot of speciality because you must remember, you must understand the date. These earliest cities were found. It was there here in the 4700 years ago. So it has a lot of specialty. The earliest cities has to tell a lot of story, how the buildings were made and what is their town planning, what is their drainage system, and what about their interlocking pattern. Everything we want to study, and most of these are related to our modern architectural and way of town planning and buildings work. That is why it is very important, and you must study that which is these earliest cities are important in different buildings and different architectural work. So in the Harappa we can see the first feature is the drainage system. The drainage system of Harappa. The drainage system of Harappa. And second one, it is important in their city planning. First one, drainage system, and second one, it is important for their city planning. And third one, great granary, or this great granary is otherwise known as the storehouse. So this is special about the Harappa. But in Mohenjo-daro, we can see that a great bath system, that details we will study. In Mohenjo-daro we can see great bath, and the Kalibangan and Lothal is special about the fire altars. So now we can discuss more explanation about these important topic. Next we can discuss the city planning in Harappa. I already told this planning was very excellent and it was very special. That is why we are studying about the city planning of Harappan city. So the Harappan cities were divided into two parts, which are the west part and the east part. So the west part, look at the west part. This is the west part. These areas are west part. And what is the specialty of the west part? In the west part, it was smaller. It is smaller area but higher. In the west part, it is smaller area but higher. So this part is known as the citadel. Archaeologists called this west part is citadel. C-I-T-A-D-E-L, citadel. But in the case of east part, this is the east part, it is larger area. In the case of east part, it is larger area but it is lower. It is larger area but it is lower. So archaeologists called this place as lower town. So all of you understood the two city planning of the Harappan city. The cities were divided into two parts, which are the west part and east part. And what is the specialty of the west part? The west part is smaller but higher. It is known as citadel. And the east part, it is larger but lower, and it is called the lower town. So this is about the city planning in Harappan city. Next we can study about the Great Bath in Mohenjo-daro. Great Bath in Mohenjo-daro. Where is Mohenjo-daro is situated in where? It was in the present Pakistan. Okay, the West Punjab, Pakistan. It was situated in the west part of the Pakistan. It is called the Punjab, Pakistan. Okay, so this Mohenjo-daro is special about the great bath system. So we can study about the great bath. So in the name itself, it is, you know what is great bath. It is the bathing area, like our present pond. Did you see the pond, the four side pond? So such kinds of system in the was also existed in the Mohenjo-daro. You must remember the date, 4,700 years ago. That bathing system is known as Great Bath. So we can discuss about the Great Bath. Just I am reading the textbook. It is in the textbook. In some cities, special buildings were constructed on the citadel. For example, in Mohenjo-daro, a very special tank which archaeologists called the Great Bath. The archaeologists called a great special tank. The archaeologists called it is Great Bath. So what is about the Great Bath? Was built in this area. This was lined with bricks. How it was made? This great bath is made up of bricks. You know the bricks, it was made up of bricks coated with plaster. The brick coated with plaster. Why there is the bricks is coated with plaster? For getting the waterproof. It was the bricks was coated with plastic or plaster. It was coated with plastic plaster. Why? Because of the for getting the waterproof. So and made watertight with a layer of natural tar, and it was made with the bricks of plaster coated brick, and also it was made watertight with layer of natural tar. It was watertight with natural tar. There were steps leading down to it from two sides. There were two steps from two sides. For what purpose? To enter to the pond or to enter to the great bathing area. There were two steps. While there were rooms on all sides. In the area, in all sides, four sides, there were rooms. For what purpose there were rooms? For changing the dress and all up. For bathing, we need the changing. For changing their dress and all, there were rooms in all sides. And water was probably brought in from a well. Water was brought from a well and drained out after use. After use, it is drained out. Perhaps important people took a dip in this tank on special occasion. And what is the special about this? On special occasion, important people, that is that religious, the Brahmins and the religious priest, what they will do in special on the special occasion, important people took a dip. What do you know about dip? They are take a bath, and in this on this great bath in special occasion. So this is about the great bath in the Mohenjo-daro. All of you understood what is great bath? The great bath is in Mohenjo-daro. Mohenjo-daro is located in the present Pakistan. And what is great bath? It was made up of brick coated with the plaster. It was made up of, the first point is it was made up of brick with the plaster coating, and second one, a water tight with a layer of natural tar. And there were steps in two sides. There were steps to enter to the bathing area, and also in four sides there were rooms. and important people or important person took a dip in the special occasion. So this is about the Mohenjo-daro. Next, we can study about the Kalibangan and Lothal. What is special about the Kalibangan and Lothal? In the Kalibangan and Lothal, the archaeologists found that there were fire altar. It is important in that area, Kalibangan and Lothal, fire altar. What do you know about the fire altar? All of you listen. Other cities such as Kalibangan and Lothal had fire altar. Where sacrifices may have been performed. What do you know about the fire altar? You can see the picture of fire altar on the screen. It was a foundation made up of bricks. For what purpose? For the religious activity. Did you see in the television and all, there were fire in a small foundation for doing the religious activity. It is a small foundation for doing the religious activity by using the fire. It is known as fire altar, and we can see fire altar, remains of fire altars in the Kalibangan and Lothal. Fire altar, it was used for the religious sacrifice and religious activities by using with the presence of fire in a small foundation. It is known as fire altar. Next one, another thing that is great granary or storehouse. There were in some cities like Mohenjo-daro, Harappa and Lothal had a special storehouse or granary. Great granary. This great granary is used to store the food grain. For storing the food grains, they used the great granary. So this is the special about great granary. And where we can see in the great granary, Mohenjo-daro, Harappa and also Lothal, there were a special storehouse. This storehouse is known as great granary. Why they are using great granary? For storing the food grains. Next one, another important one is the drainage system of the earliest cities or Harappa. The drainage system of the earliest cities. They have a lot of excellent drainage system. So now also in the modern at present also the town planning and city planning need a lot of work for the drainage system. But in 4700 years ago, the people had a great drainage system in early cities, that is Harappa. We are going to study about the drainage system of the earliest cities. It is in the textbook. So generally houses were either 1 or 2 stories high with room built around the courtyard. Most houses had a separate bathing area. And some had wells to supply water. Many of these cities had covered drain. Covered the drain water. Okay, dirty water, the waste water. That is known as drain water. They very carefully laid the system of drainage system. Each drain had a gentle slope. What in about gentle slope? A bend. Each drain had a bend, a gentle slope, so that water could flow through it. Okay, we already know that if there is a slope, water can go through very smoothly. Okay, water can go through very smoothly. Very often Drain in houses were connected to those on the street and smaller drain led into bigger one. So there were a bigger drain in the cities, and these houses drain is connected to these big drain, and drains were covered. This modern slab, the drains were covered, it was covered, and inspection halls were provided at interval to clean them. And it was, even though it was covered, but even though there were inspection halls to provided at interval to clean them in separate different interval, different area. There were the holes. For what purpose? There were holes to inspection halls to clean them. If there is any block, they can open that area's inspection hall, and they can check it what happened, and they can clean that area. Through inspection hall they can clean. All three houses, drain and street were probably planned and built at the same time. So it was a most planned drainage system. There were drainage system from larger drainage system from the street, and this smaller drains from houses and other area is connected to this larger drainage system. It was covered, and also even though there were inspection halls to clean the drains at every interval. So this is the drainage system of the Harappan city. I hope all of you understood today's class. So what we discussed in today's class, first we discussed about the earliest cities, four major earliest cities, which are they? First one Harappa, second one Mohenjo-daro, third one Kalibangan, and fourth one Lothal. And where is Harappa is situated? Harappa is situated in Punjab, Pakistan of that west part, and Mohenjo-daro also situated in Pakistan, Punjab of the west, and Kalibangan situated in the India in Rajasthan, and Lothal situated in the Gujarat. And each cities have its own speciality, and the Harappa is famous for its drainage system. Now we discuss a drainage system and city planning, great granary or storehouse. And Mohenjo-daro is special about the great bath, and Kalibangan, Lothal had a special about the fire altar. So I hope all of you understood today's class. You need to read the textbook more time, then only you will get idea. Thank you.